Hello, all my wonderful explorers. It's Miss Bree again, and today we are diving into something truly magical life on Earth in all of its forms. From the tiniest microbes to the tallest of trees, our planet is bursting with diversity. So let's explore what biodiversity really means and why it matters so much. Now, for those of you who haven't met me, my name is Miss Bree. I am an educator, a farmer, an illustrator, a singer, and a proud grammar nerd. Welcome to the farm school. So, what is biodiversity? I know that's a big word. Biodiversity means the variety of life on Earth, right? Diversity means a variety. Bio is life. So, variety of life. That includes things like plants, animals, fungi, and even microorganisms that we can't even see. The more different kinds of life there are in one place, the greater the biodiversity. And that is such a good thing for our planet, which we're going to talk about today. So, biodiversity exists at different levels, right? So we have genetic diversity, which is the variety within a single species. Then we have, dogs come in different shapes and sizes, right? You can have a border collie, a German shepherd, a chihuahua, or Great Dane. Or you can have like heirloom tomatoes can be red, yellow, purple, green, blue, white, striped, all the colors of the rainbow. Okay? But they're all still tomatoes. Then you have species diversity, which is all the different kinds of living things in one place. So a specific forest might have things like deer, birds, insects, and hundreds of plant species. Could even have things like bears and wolves, depending on where you're at. And lastly, we also have ecosystem diversity, which is the variety of habitats all around the world. Okay? So together, each of these levels help to create a rich and balanced world. Okay? And that ecosystem diversity, for example, would be talking about all the different forests and oceans and deserts and wetlands, rainforests, all sorts of things, mountains. They're all unique ecosystems with their own special life forms. So let's talk about genetic diversity first, okay? Genetic diversity is what makes individuals within a species unique. Think about dogs. Okay, remember we talked about this a little bit before? Some are tiny, like Chihuahuas. Some are huge, like Great Danes or Mastiffs. Some have curly fur, maybe like poodles or barbets or, Portuguese water dogs. Some have straight fur, like Australian Shepherds or Border Collies or German Shepherds. These differences all help different species survive and adapt to changes in their environment, right? Chihuahuas adapted to fit a desert kind of area, right? Whereas Great Danes were adapted for a more European bear hunting type job, right? So they're all different, right? And again, with the tomatoes, that's another good example. Okay, all of these genetic diversity examples are what helps to make that species survive, right? Which is what makes it so cool. So now let's talk about species diversity. Now, species diversity is all about how many different types of organisms live in one place. And a healthy ecosystem might have birds, insects, plants, and animals all living together. The more species there are, the stronger and more balanced that ecosystem becomes. Okay? And then remember, an ecosystem can be something like the Amazon rainforest, but you can also have a microclimate or a microsystem, right? A microecosystem, which could just be your backyard, you know? So think about all the birds and flowers and frogs and insects and plants and, your pet dog or cat that all live in that backyard. There's still a ton of different things that live there. So you might have a really healthy ecosystem just in your backyard. So now let's move on to the most broad section of diversity, which is ecosystem diversity. This means that there are many different habitats across the planet, and a habitat is where living things call home. Okay? So forests, oceans, deserts, wetlands, farms, every single thing, all of these are ecosystems. Each one supports its own unique mix of life, right? You're generally not going to have a bunch of coral and reef fish on a farm in Missouri, right? Not very often. But you're also not going to have, a whole bunch of dairy cows and goats and sheep that we might keep here on a farm in Missouri in Antarctica on the ice caps, right? They're not going to thrive there either. So each ecosystem supports its own unique mix of life, helping biodiversity thrive on a global scale, which is what makes our planet so amazing. Biodiversity is incredibly important, right? It keeps ecosystems healthy, provides the food that we eat, helps to create medicines, and allows life to bounce back from challenges. Without biodiversity, life on Earth would not be nearly as stable or resilient. Now let's talk about how everything is connected, okay? All living things are connected in a web of life, like a spider web, kind of. Plants feed animals. Animals help to spread the seeds for the plants. And everything depends on something else. So when one part of the system changes or when one species is affected, it can affect everything and everyone else. Okay, it's like a chain reaction. And that is why balance is so important. So let's bring this closer to home. Okay, let's talk about like a farm, like my farm. So a healthy farm is full of biodiversity, right? You're going to have plants, animals, insects, and even soil organisms that all work together. From worms improving the soil to the bees pollinating the crops, every single living thing plays a role in keeping the farm thriving, right? Now, some species are extra important. These are called keystone species. These have a huge impact on their environment. For example, beavers building a dam can create an entire wetland ecosystem. One beaver family can create an entire ecosystem. Isn't that amazing to think about? So if they disappear, a ton of different species will disappear as well, or at least suffer, right? So all of these keystone species keep everything in balance, right? Without these species that are called keystone species, ecosystems can fall apart. Now, along that line, biodiversity is under threat from many sources, right? Things like habitat loss, pollution, climate change, overuse of resources, and even invasive species. All of these can harm ecosystems. These challenges make it harder for plants and animals to survive. So, for example, habitat loss might be things like, you know, deforestation, forests and homes destroyed. Pollution, an example might be, landfills that are getting too big, or, littering on the side of the road where trash and chemicals can harm life forms out there. Then you have examples for climate change, i.e., the temperatures rising too fast, right, from greenhouse gases and that sort of thing. Then you have overuse of resources, right? So maybe humans take too much and don't leave enough behind, right? So, for example, like deforestation of all of our important big forests in the world. Okay, they're not doing selective harvesting, they're doing clear cutting, and that damages a lot, right? Whereas if they did selective cutting, that would make a huge difference because it still leaves really great habitats for the animals, okay? So it's a balance, right? And with invasive species, you can have new animals that push others out. You can even have new plants that push others out, okay? So there's a lot of examples there. And this in and of itself is a big topic, but it's a really important thing to think about. So now let's talk about conservation. Conservation means protecting and caring for nature, right? Protecting life on Earth. We can help, right? You and me and everybody else, your parents, your friends, your grown-ups, your little sister, your little brother, your dog, everybody can help, right? And we can help by saving habitats where animals live or plants live. We can help by planting native species that belong where they need to be. And even taking care of the ecosystem. So, like making sure that when you go camping or hiking, you follow the leave no evidence behind rule. Okay, right? It should look like you were never there. Just small actions like that can make such a big difference when it comes to protecting life on Earth. Little tiny actions on behalf of every single human make all the difference in the world to everyone's lives, and they might not even realize it. So, let's talk about how you can help personally. You have the power to help biodiversity. You can plant native plants in your yard. You can reduce your waste, right? Reduce, reuse, recycle. Cut down on your trash use. Respect nature, right? Keep it clean. Protect habitats. Try to be careful not to disturb animal homes. Don't go poking around where you shouldn't be. If you see a little, kind of hide area where maybe a little fox might have their family, we don't want to go poke around in there because if we do, we could disturb them, and that's not very kind. So if we're kind to nature, nature will be kind to us. So every choice you make can help support the environment and can help protect the incredible variety of life around us. So now I want you to do something. Your turn to be a scientist, okay? So you're going to be a scientist now. So I want you to go outside and explore your environment. I want you to look for plants, animals, bugs, and any other living thing, right? Could be a mushroom. It could be a flower. It could be a roly-poly. It could be an ant. It could be anything you want, okay? But I want you to count how many different species you can find. And I want you to write down or draw what you discover. Every single living thing you find is part of the biodiversity of your environment. And every observation you make helps you understand that biodiversity better. Fantastic work, explorers. You have learned how life on Earth is connected, diverse, and incredibly important. Keep observing, keep asking questions, and keep caring for the world around you. I'll see you next time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.